Hi, Sacred Soul family. It's so nice to connect with all of you again. It's been a really long time. I really wanted to share with all of you today a really sacred meditational practice that it's done wonders for me. I can't even tell you on the interactions that I have with others, on the relationship that I'm building with myself. With the spirit world, it can become very confusing with respect to how it is that we're supposed to interface with it, or even how to interface with it at all. It can become confusing with a lot of in my opinion, a lot of the brainwashing. I don't necessarily think it's intentional brainwashing, but there's a lot of talk and chatter out in YouTube world right now about 5D and about, interdimensional travel, and about how many of us might not even feel like we are of this world, but we are all absolutely a part of this world that we were born into. How could it be any other way? Are we so audacious to say that the universe does not know itself? That we are not supposed to be here of this earth, that we're supposed to be elsewhere? And it can be confusing whenever, people are talking about, connecting with our spirit guides, connecting with the spirit world, with the etheric world. What does all of this mean when there's these concrete, tangible items, within our grasp, in front of us, in our waking world, and it doesn't bear any semblance, so it seems, to all of this mystical mumbo jumbo that's talked about so often in the spiritual community. I feel it very important at this time to connect with all of you, to connect with myself, and in doing so, it kind of connects all of us in a collective approach to understanding that the spirit world is an absolute mirror to this 3D world among us, that we are among it, that there really is no separation. And it was described to me by someone who identifies himself as a psychic, that it's almost as though they are pages in a book, stacked one atop of the other, occupying the same space. And to try to separate one from the other, to try to separate oneself from this earthen realm, is the very act of denying your spirit self, your spiritual identity. I truly feel that we are all psychics. We are all of the spirit world. If we have an identity, a placement here in this earthen realm, so too do we have a spiritual self, a spiritual side. Like any other facet of ourselves, however, if it's not exercised, if it's not realized, if it's not acknowledged, we, in our conscious approach to discovery, just because we don't realize that it exists does not mean that it ceases to exist. It's simply not in our realm of conscious understanding of who we are. It's kind of like that. If the tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it indeed fall? Does it indeed make a sound? And the answer is yes, it does. But in the same way of understanding that tree falling, the depth of its identity, the depth of its persona, the magnanimity of its placement in this world becomes so rich with the collective conscious that we give it by acknowledging that it indeed did fall and make a sound. So I hope that you'll join me in a meditational practice, and please understand, as it was described to me by someone very dear to me, someone who she's been essential in my own self and spiritual discovery of the spirit realm. And that's Abby Normal. And I hope that you'll subscribe to her and that you will follow her in the way that I have these last few years. And I hope that you will listen intently to the wisdoms that she offers with respect to connecting to your spirit self and the world of the etheric that is quite literally at our fingertips at all times. We simply need reach out for it. And to understand, as she herself has explained and described to me, that seeing the spirit world, the act of seeing with one's eyes, is not the same as the sight that one can acquire, and in so doing that they must use something that, you know, in our terminology of the Western culture, we call it the imagination. And what is the connotation of the imagination but something that is imaginary? But please bear in mind that the imaginary world is the realm that we must traverse before anything in this 3D realm of the material, of the tangible, can ever come into existence. Any great invention, any wonderful, anything at all, you name it, any innovation of the human conquest of, you know, anything that has been created, anything that has been brought to fruition, first began in the spark of the imagination. And sometimes you'll see me close my eyes, for my physical eyes at times impede the sight of the imaginary, which is actually the sight of the spiritual. And I think you'll find if you close your eyes and you don't strive to see something other than the blackness behind your physical eyes, if you simply let go, you simply are, you simply let the sound of my voice lead you down a path, that sight will come to you, and it will be as though you are opening what is called your third eye. You're not going to see tangible items behind the lids of your eyes. What you're going to see is going to be something completely different, and the verb to see really should be replaced with something else, with perceive. So if you are walking along a path and you are smelling some flowers, you're going to smell them in the spirit world long before you ever see them. And in so doing, you're going to unfold an entire world before you that is going to slowly materialize into fruition as you yourself are molding and melding the world before you. That is the thing with the spirit world. It is far more pliable. It is far more open to suggestion. This world that we live in, that in the waking world where we use our physical eyes to see, it also is tangible, but it is more dense. And that tangibleness, it can be melded and molded to suit our needs, but it does take more time. And we must first go through the realm of spirit. For everything you see in this world of the physical, in this 3D realm as you might understand it, it too has an identity in the realm of spirit. And that identity, that form, that shape, it has a lot more suggestibility with what it too could be, what it too could become. And if you merely talk to it, or if you stroke it, or if you smell it, or if you simply have even a psychokinetic conversation with it via your mind's eye, you will be amazed at what you are capable of here. And then also, in so doing, you will be amazed at what it is you can achieve after you open your eyes again. And the manifestation of that identity, that thing, whatever it was you happen to be interacting with, or perhaps it's a person, the effect that it will have on them will be colossal. It'll blow your mind. Simple experimentations will go a long way. And I want you to imagine the last person that you had a conversation with that might not have been quite as you might have wanted it to end up. Maybe the two of you were crying. Maybe one of you was yelling. Perhaps it just, nothing was said at all, and there was plenty that should have been said. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to see the setting in your mind's eye. I want you to transport yourself back there with that person. I want you to see exactly where you were and the conversation you were having. I want you to see the streams of color that come from each of you as you speak. You might hear the words, or you might simply feel the energies. Either way is the right way for you. We all have a unique perspective and a unique manifestation to share here, and that is why we are here. None of us are meant to be anywhere else. We all have something sacred to share. I want you to feel, I want you to see or perceive, I want you to hear, I want you to actually absorb the energy coming from this other person. I want you to see the waves of light and color emanating off of their personhood here in the spirit world. Is it red? What do the lines look like? Are they jagged? Are they wavy? Is there a closed offness? Is there a shield that has been put up to keep you from getting in? Are they interacting with your own waves? These lines, these waves of color, of energetic expression? Are they intermingling or intertwining? When their waves of color intermingle with yours, does the color change to something else? Creating an entirely new consciousness whenever the two of you are expressing yourselves together as one? Perhaps it was a lovely conversation. Perhaps you felt the line between yourself and themselves blur. Perhaps for a moment it was as though you were one person. We need not be making physical love with another in order for our self-consciousnesses to merge together. Surely you felt yourself lose yourself in an incredible conversation that left you kind of feeling as though nothing else existed except for that conversation with your best friend. that everything else melted away, even if just for a moment. That was your interaction with the spirit world. And it shouldn't be disregarded as anything less than that. It should be acknowledged and recognized as the powerful being that you are. I know that things can become convoluted and confusing with all of the information overload that's out there in YouTube land and the mainstream media. We're really bombarded with a lot of information from the massive amounts of tech that's out there. And there is a more ancient technology that really has nothing to do with gizmos and gadgets. And it is a connectivity that we've lost touch with, but it is easy to exercise and find our way back on that path. And we need only close our eyes for a moment. That's how I actually connect. The way that you do so might very well be different. I've seen some people, they simply stare off into space. They're not looking at anything with their eyes, but they are seeing something. They are perceiving that which is there, that which has always been there. And I urge you to do the same, because the more that all of us engage in this activity, in this practice, the stronger that ability becomes for all of us, the collective. And if you have any interest in this, if you've been scouring YouTube for everything that you can find on spirituality and the spirit world, then there is something there that you are meant to find. But perhaps it's not there. Perhaps there is here, right? And that's why it feels so close, like you can almost touch it, because you can. It's just the next page in your book that's laying atop the page that you've read over and over and over again, and it feels so familiar. And yet you're tired of that page. It's time to move on to the next page. It's right there to be had. So take a step, and if you'd like to explore this process with me of exploring the spirit world within you, I would be honored to embark upon that journey with you. And I hope that you will reach out to me at jennapinkstone@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me on this meditation today, and I'll see you on the other side.